We begin with a change in plans for area schools due to yesterday's snowfall. Here in Billings, School District 2 will use alternate bus routes today. Lodge Grass Public Schools and St. Labray will have a delayed start at 10 o'clock this morning, and Pryor Schools, Wyola and St. Charles Mission School will be closed today. Looking now at today's top national headlines. In Florida, a man fatally shot 5 people at a SunTrust Bank branch on Wednesday afternoon. Officials say the suspect, Zephan Zaver, called 911 and said he had injured the bank and started shooting. Florida Department of Corrections records show Zaver was hired as a trainee prison guard in November and resigned 2 weeks ago. As the partial shutdown enters day 34, the Senate is expected to vote today on competing proposals to fund the government. The GOP's includes President Trump's offer to extend protections for Dreamers for 3 years in exchange for border wall funding. The Democratic proposal does not include funding for a wall. Neither is expected to pass. President Trump will wait until the partial government shutdown ends to deliver the State of the Union. It was scheduled for next week Tuesday, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi revoked his invitation to address Congress until the stalemate is resolved. The president had said he was looking for alternative venues, but reversed course in a pair of tweets late last night. As furloughed workers continue to struggle with no paycheck in sight, the Billings community is stepping up by collecting food for those impacted by the shutdown. Rachel Court, a realtor in town, is asking for non-perishable items to help furloughed families fill their empty kitchen cabinets.
It's so frightening for families, I think, because they, other than food, they have insurance to pay for, car payments to pay for, mortgages to cover. There's so many things, and oftentimes food, your nutrition, gets put on the back burner. And when you're buying things like diapers and medications and other things that are very necessary.
You can bring dried or canned food to the drop-off locations you see on your screen. One is at the Coldwell Bankers location downtown. There is another drop-off in the Heights. Those donations will be given to Family Services, where food boxes will be created for furloughed workers. Montana firefighters hope this is the year Montana lawmakers approve coverage for firefighters who end up with cancers or other on-the-job illnesses. The Montana State Council of Professional Firefighters announced Democratic Senator Nate McConnell of Missoula has introduced Senate Bill 160. The group has been working for almost 2 decades to pass a health and safety bill that would help cover firefighters who contract long-term illnesses. According to the group, 47 other states have on-the-job illness protection in place for their firefighters. The bill has yet to be assigned to a committee. Senator Steve Daines is requesting a Montana field hearing on missing and murdered Indigenous people. In a letter to the Committee on Indian Affairs, Senator Daines wrote many incidents of missing persons in Indian country go unreported. He says even when reported, Indian country law enforcement carries a high volume of cold cases that go unsolved. In the letter, Daines gives examples of missing or murdered Indigenous women in Montana. He added the crisis also crosses gender lines, says Matthew Grant's family, a man who was found murdered north of Browning in December of 2016, still awaits resolution to his murder. In the letter Daines wrote, he said, quote, "I request to bring the important work of our committee out to Montana and hold a field hearing on this issue as soon as possible so we can hear directly from families and tribal members on the ground." The University of Montana Grizzly athletics fans and students are mourning the loss of a senior player. 22-year-old Andrew Harris is believed to have committed suicide on Tuesday. Harris was a graduate of Glacier High School in Kalispell and led the Wolfpack to a 2014 state football championship. He earned a spot with the Montana Grizzlies playing last year under the leadership of Coach Bobby Hauck. Hauck released a statement Wednesday saying the Grizzly family will continue to mourn the passing of Andrew Harris, but right now our primary concern is for his immediate family, their well-being, and their privacy. Grizzly Athletics announced there will be a moment of silence for Harris tonight before the UM basketball game. Coaches and administrators from across the country have reached out and sent notes of condolence to the Harris's family. And as MSU Billings observes its Power of One week, suicide prevention and support for college students are being addressed. MSUB Student Health Services has insight into student mental health and how it impacts them academically.
Every year the top 5 is stress, anxiety, depression, work. So in other words, trying to balance work and going to school and home life, and then sleep. We know from our data that most of our students aren't getting enough sleep, and that can really set you up for mental health issues, including depression.
Mental health counseling is available to students at MSUB Student Health Services. For those not attending MSUB, a good resource is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. In other news, Governor Steve Bullock and public health professionals are announcing new tools to help Montana parents. Parenting Montana is a new online resource. It provides integrated information with evidence-based research to help parents overcome some of the issues Montana adolescents face. The website includes topics tailored to the child's age, including resources about bullying, confidence issues, homework, and underage drinking. Bullock said there are times when every parent needs some extra help.
Anything we can do to provide parents the skills and the resources and something to look at for what is also probably the most important job that any of us can have can only benefit us all.
Parenting Montana was paid for by a federally funded block grant. The program was designed around the input of Montana parents gathered in surveys and focus groups. The Montana Department of Revenue has some advice for taxpayers as they prepare for this year's returns. Income tax filing season will officially open on Monday, January 28th. There will be some changes for taxpayers this year. The federal 1040-EZ form has been discontinued along with Montana's 2EZ form. People who use the 2EZ can now file just the first page of the state's Form 2. The department also encourages taxpayers to file their returns electronically and make sure you have a current address on file. Back here in Billings, it's a moment months in the making for Yellowstone Valley Brewing. Beer is flowing once again as the brewery reopens after a complete renovation. The brewery unveiled its new look on Wednesday afternoon. New owners took over this past summer, wanting to give a new look and breathe new life into the establishment. Back in December, they started brewing their flagship beer, Black Widow Stout. The brewery has musical lineups scheduled for the next several months, and now the public is welcome to enjoy its new look. Two Yellowstone County Sheriff's deputies got their squad cars rammed during a struggle in a fast food parking lot. The deputies were trying to recover a stolen vehicle. The sheriff's office shared this photo to its Facebook page on Wednesday. The deputies spotted a stolen vehicle driving in front of him. As he attempted to pull the driver over, she decided to head through the Arby's drive-thru instead. But that's when she met another deputy waiting for her on the other side. Instead of giving up, the woman decided to ram into both vehicles before coming to a stop. According to the Post, no one was injured, but there are a few scratches on the cruisers. Well, this week's heavy snowfall means an increase in avalanche danger. Big temperature changes earlier this month and in December have caused weak layers of snow to form below the snow we've picked up this week. Strong winds are also causing weak snow slabs on slopes. Doug Shabbat with the Gallatin National Forest Avalanche Center says that it's not the amount of snow that's causing the problems, but it's the water content inside the snow.
More interested in how much water fell, like how dense is that snow. And like you said, the snow is coming in very dense, and so when we add wind to that, it means that we're putting a lot of weight on slopes at higher elevations, and that weight is what's causing these weak layers to break.
Shabbat recommends staying away from steep slopes this week.